Hello, welcome. This is Oneindia News and I am Akash. Following all the drama of ball tampering, Cricket Australia have finally announced their verdict by punishing the now sacked skipper Steve Smith and vice captain David Warner, and also penalised newcomer Cameron Bancroft. The latter two cannot represent Australia for the next 1 year, while the former will be out for 9 months, though all three have an option to challenge the verdict. However, in the case of Smith and Warner, this is not the first time when misconduct or unsporting behavior on the ground attracted the attention of the authorities. While Warner's stories go back a long way, here are 5 incidents when Steve Smith's action or words brought shame to the game of cricket. Number 5. Outburst on the umpiring decision in Christchurch 2016. On day 4 of the Christchurch test between New Zealand and Australia in 2016, Smith and pacer Josh Hazlewood got into controversy when an umpiring decision went against Australia. In the last over before lunch, Kane Williamson was ruled not out by the on-field umpire Renmore Martinez following a huge LPW appeal by Hazlewood. Smith immediately referred to the third umpire, Richard Illingworth, who found a small hot spot marked behind the bottom of Kane Williamson's inside edge, thus sticking to Martinez's decision. Australia, however, seemed convinced that the spot arose with Kane Williamson's bat touching his boot. That made Smith had a word with Martinez, while Hazlewood was heard on camera abusing the third umpire. As a result, Smith was fined 30% of his match fee, while Hazlewood was docked half the amount. Number 4. The famous brain fade moment against India in Bangalore 2017. Australia registered a surprising win on a rank turner in the previous test in Pune and got 1-0 up in the 3-match series. And Bangalore presented them with another spin-friendly surface. India had set the visitors 188 on the 4th day while falling behind by 87 in the first inning. But when Australia came out to chase, it was the Indian pacers who struck early to reduce Australia to 67 for 3, with Umesh Yadav claiming 2 wickets and Ishant claiming 1. With Umesh in action again, Smith was stuck flush in the middle by the ball keeping low. Umpire Nigel Long gave the wicket to India, and with the DRS facility available, Smith consulted the non-striker Peter Hanscombe before turning to the Australian dressing room to consult whether the decision needed to be reviewed or not, with Virat Kohli questioning his methods and even claiming that Australia have done that several times in the test. Smith later described his action as a brain fade, a term very commonly used in cricketing circles since. Number 3. Sledging with James Anderson during the Adelaide Test in 2017. Well, after England lost the first test of the 2017-18 Ashes in Australia, James Anderson wrote an article for a daily just before the second test and said, "A bully waits until they are in the ascendancy to pounce on people. That is what Australian teams do." The same day, Steve Smith hit at the rivals when he was asked to respond on Anderson's comment. He said, "I think it's interesting coming from Jimmy, calling us bully and big sledgers. I think he is one of the biggest sledgers in the game, to me in particular. I remember back in 2010 when I started and wasn't any good. He was pretty happy to get stuck into me then." Things seems to heated up even during the match at the Adelaide, when umpire Aleem Dar often having to intervene when Smith was standing at the non-striker's end at the same time that Anderson was feeling at the short mid-wicket. The second incident happened against South Africa in Port Elizabeth in 2018. Controversy had already taken an upper hand in the fiery battle between Australia and South Africa in the first test. The next match at Port Elizabeth saw Smith and Rabada face off against one another. Rabada, with already 5 demerit points to his name, was one misdemeanor away from suspension, which inevitably arrived when he was found brushing Steve Smith's shoulder and even giving him a send-off after getting him out. Further trouble arrived when he screamed in Warner's face on dismissing him in the second inning. As a result, he was suspended for 2 tests, but Much to the disappointment of the opposition, it was overturned following a 6-hour hearing. The decision pinched Smith, who believed that as one who was barged, his voice remained unheard. He said, "I think he bumped me a little bit harder than it actually looked on the footage." The other person's involvement not getting asked about it is pretty interesting, I thought. And the number one controversy of Steve Smith that shamed the game of cricket was the ball tampering that happened during the Cape Town Test against South Africa in 2018. Australian opening batsman Cameron Bancroft, on the instruction of his skipper Steve Smith and vice-captain David Warner, was caught rubbing one side of the ball with sandpaper on the third day of the match. Later in the day, Smith and Bancroft confessed in the press conference that it was a premeditated plan to alter the condition of the ball in order to obtain an early reverse swing, with Smith stating that only the leadership group was involved. Massive consequences followed when the ICC first suspended him for a test and fined him the entire match fee, letting off Bancroft with 3 demerit points and a 75% fine. Cricket Australia duly stepped in to punish the players, banning Smith and Warner from all cricket for a year, while Bancroft was suspended for 9 months. This led to the termination of Smith and Warner's IPL contract, with both having resigned as the captain of their respective franchises. Well, that's all for now, but for more news and updates, log on to oneindia.com and please don't forget to like and share this video. Also, don't forget to subscribe to One India News channel.